Hello, I'm going to be doing a follow-up video to that predictions video that I did about a week ago. This time I'll be pretty much going over more of a wish list and what characters that I personally want. If you don't agree with any of this, it's a wish list. I doubt any of it will come true. As for my predictions last week, I feel like I'll at least get half of them correct. If I remember, I chose Crash Bandicoot, Travis Touchdown. I think I chose a Square Enix rep from Bravely Default. I think I chose Adol, more obscure Japanese character. And then the other two, I think it was a Bandai Namco rep, but I think I won't leave either. I don't think Tekken's as likely as I do think it is now, although it is still possible. I do think we'll get some sort of fighting game character. Will it be from Bandai? I think it could be a Koei Tecmo, but those spirits kind of deconfirm any fighting game character. And as for what other fighting game characters, do you know what, Soul Bad Guy or some sort of Arc System Works character would be really interesting. But yeah, I think we'll probably maybe get some sort of fighting game character, and I think I ended it off with Psylux. So I still agree with those 6, but I feel like I'm not too certain on Bandai as much as I used to be. I still think it's possible, but I think that Bandai slot is more likely going to be a fighting game rep. But I think I'll do an update to my predictions list, my hardcore, well, not hardcore, but hard in stone characters when the next character comes out, because then my opinion might change on the past, because we don't know too much about it at the moment. But this video is just going to be fun, or at least it's fun for me because I'm being quite selfish. I've got 2 lists, one that's involving spirits, echoes, and assist trophies, and the other one is going to be completely original. They have no representation in Smash, so I assume what first one's non-realistic and the second one is realistic. So I'll go over the honourable mentions, if you will, right now. So I think my first one is some sort of Resident Evil rep. Personally, I would have chose Leon, because the only one I've played is 4, and I think 4 is a really great game, so it would be interesting to see him. Obviously you could choose like Chris or Claire, or I think Jill, one of those would work as well. You could do a hero situation, but obviously we've got the spirits of it, and because of their timing, I doubt we'll ever see a Resident Evil rep, or at least I don't think we'll ever see a Resident Evil rep this game. Maybe like wave 4 or 5 it's possible, and we still have yet to see them upgrade a spirit, and I truly do believe spirits deconfirm characters. That's why I find it so interesting Psylux isn't a spirit in the game. Well, yeah, he isn't a spirit, and Porky isn't a spirit either. And I've heard it's the 30th anniversary of Mother, the Mother series, so maybe we'll get some sort of Mother Porky to represent that. Who knows? I didn't mention that in my previous video because I didn't think of it at the time, but I think like Porky could also fit that Nintendo slot pretty well. And it's weird because he's such a good boss fight. I don't know why you wouldn't include him like that and Rayquaza. I'll talk about that later, but for my second honourable mention, I really want another Sonic rep, and so I would have chose Shadow as an Echo, and that's another thing that I find so odd. You could have made such an easy Echo out of Sonic for Shadow, or even Metal Sonic. One of those two would have been incredible, but I guess they felt like they were better represented as an assist trophy. But yeah, even though Shadow's been assist trophy, like a Luigi situation almost, because he's been an Echo assist trophy as long as he has. I can't think of any other character. There probably is another character. Well, maybe like Lyn. Was Lyn in Brawl? I think Lyn was in Brawl. But obviously there's too many Fire Emblem characters for some people. Honestly, if I'm going to be serious, I do feel like for now there is enough. I feel like if there was another brand new Fire Emblem game and the main protagonist or one of the characters inside of it was really interesting, then I would want another one. But I feel like at the moment the only more Fire Emblem I want, and I haven't included it in this list I've written down, but I think Celica would also make a really good echo of Robin if we were to get one more. And I feel like people put too much weight on echoes. Then they shouldn't. They didn't take as much time to develop, but obviously people would still say, why don't we get Echo of Dixie, which is kind of fair. You could just rip Donkey Kong's up B and then pretty much rip all of Diddy Kong and throw her together. I guess they don't feel like that's a good representation of her, and they put her as a spirit. Because that's another thing. I feel like when they put a spirit there, 100%, well, at least at the time, they 100% felt this could never be a future character DLC choice, and that's why Byleth probably wasn't at base. But either way, I'm talking too much about the topic that's not relevant. Well, it is relevant, but not to this conversation. Anyway, I'm still not even on my top 6 so yet. I suppose I would really want another Zelda rep, and if I were to choose, I would choose Wolflick and Midna. They would have been made a really good choice, because I don't think we have too many quadrupeds, and the ones that we do aren't true quadrupeds. I suppose Duck Hunt is, but that's... yeah, I'd suppose that technically is almost like Midna and Wolflink, but very different when you think about it at the same time. The similarities, I suppose you could use Duck Hunt as a base. Like, I believe Duck Hunt or some sort of character like that was used for the base of Banjo, or at least that was speculated that it was. Let's see, Kasumi would make a really interesting echo for Joker, and you could throw in some more music from Royale or Scramble. I just listened to the last surprise version of Scramble, and it's really good. Couldn't understand anything in that demo though, because it was all in Japanese. And then for my final honourable mention, another Mario character. And if we were to get another Mario character, I'd want it to be a villain, kind of like Piranha Plant, but one of them that still has some interesting things that they could do with. And the only character that isn't in Mario Kart, that it's not represented, is Drybones. I think Drybones would be an interesting Mario character to add. You know, it could be it could be the 6th weird bonus character like Piranha Plant was. Alternatively, Dry Bowser would make a great echo, but I believe he's in a spirit, but obviously that's the spirit list. Anyway, without further ado, it's been 7 minutes and I still haven't talked about my personal 6th. So let's get on with it. I think I'm going to start with the bottom. Well, actually, it doesn't really matter if you can't see this list. So I'm going to start with Phoenix Wright. I haven't played the series, and I do try to include characters that I've personally experienced and played games with, but I just think the music is so good, and I've seen a lot of clips, and I think Edgeworth would make an amazing costume for him, or you know, or even would it count now like a hero situation, not an Echo, because I feel like he's making more costumes rather than Echoes. If we'll see, I don't think we'll see any more Echoes, but I hope that's wrong, because I feel like, you know, you could easily sell a whole Fighter's Path work for Echoes, and I'd definitely spend £10–15 on it. Here's one that I think not a lot of people talk about, but it was an exclusive. Well, it was a timed exclusive, I suppose. It is on PC now. But that's Octopath Traveler. I think getting a rep from that would be a bit tricky, and I do think Bravely Default is more likely. But I haven't played Bravely Default, but I have played a lot of Octopath Traveler, so I put an Octopath Traveler rep instead. As for what you could do, I feel like that's that system of, I can't remember what it was called, but they had it where you could miss your turn and build up that move, and then you could have multiple attacks. So there is some sort of system where they could use that. I can't remember what it was called. Maybe I would have to talk about that later, but I know there is some interesting mechanics you can do with the Octopath Traveler rep. I just can't remember what it was called. But they also have an interesting break block system where you can break the person's defense. Maybe they could be kind of like Byleth, where the whole objective is to break the person's shield. That would be quite amusing. Going on to my next pick, I would personally want Grovyle. I think... not Sceptile. I think Grovyle would be really interesting, and you know, maybe you could have a whole mechanic where he has XP, and then as your XP meter grows, he can then learn maybe not new attacks, but powered up moves of those attacks, and then when he reaches a certain level, maybe he evolves into Sceptile, and then his whole moveset changes. But once he gets KO'd, it resets. And I think that'd be really interesting. And as I'm aware, I don't believe he's represented whatsoever in Smash. I believe Blaziken, I don't know if Mudkip is, or you know, that evolution line, but I know he's not represented in Smash at the moment. And if they were ever to add Rayquaza back in, you know, adding another Gen 3, I would not hate some more Gen 3 support. Even though it's not my favourite Gen, I still think there's a lot of interesting things in Gen 3 you could do in Smash. Getting to another kind of a Phoenix Wright kind of character, I'd really want to see Monokuma, as unlikely as that is, and it it is still technically possible if they wanted to go that route. The only issue is I see the moveset being a bit tricky, but you know, Sakurai can work wonders sometimes with movesets. I really don't see it happening, but the main reason I want to see it to happen is just because of the remixed music. Each new Danganronpa game just changes the music, and it's so good. I listen to it personally all the time. So any more of that music would be great. And you know, Smash, they always tend to do amazing with the music. Even if then it's only one remix, that new remix is pretty good. These final two, these are ones I really, really want. And it's come down to these, it's technically 3 characters, but because 2 of them are from the same series, I've kind of lumped them together. And those 2 are Tifa and Sephiroth. Either one I'm fine with. I'm personally more towards Tifa, because I think a brawling character would be more interesting. But Sephiroth as well, you know, you could bring one Winged Angel. Final Fantasy, as far as I'm aware, is only represented with maybe 2 spirits with Cloud, a stage, and 2 songs, and that's it. Adding another stage, music, and spirits makes a lot of sense for Final Fantasy. It's got a lot of support. It's one of the most biggest JRPGs there are. Would I want it to be 7? And I think 7 makes the most sense because of how it's the most popular and it's had a remake. But if I had to choose for one from like 9 or 10, like you could choose some of the interesting ones like Yuna. Have her summon Behemoth for a final Smash, that would be pretty sick. And you could have her be more of a mage character. Like, I feel like Robin is technically a mage character, but sometimes I feel like there's so much more potential for magic abilities in Smash that we haven't seen. And yeah, I feel like another Final Fantasy rep just to get more music is totally worth it. And then for my final character, I put them on my predictions. I have to admit, for my predictions, it might be a little bit biased, but I am certain we are going to get an old Japanese like gaming figure that's been around for ages. I think when Sakurai had that Famitsu column, he mentioned how Nintendo chose old gaming characters that had a legacy, had been around for a while, and you could see that with Banjo and Terry and Hero. You know, the Illuminary. Well, technically that version of the Hero is more recent, but you know, they're old legacy characters, and I feel like this one kind of feels like a Terry situation. You know, you might not know who he is until he is revealed, and I think Smash does a really good job of introducing and revitalizing franchise. So the character I really, really want to see above anything else is Adult Christian from the series, or just the Falcon rep in general, so we can get some more music from that franchise into the game. And I think it'd be incredible to hear those remixes. If you're unaware of the series, it's been around almost as long as Zelda. I don't know too much about it. I haven't played every game. It's very niche, but I have played the hell out of 8, and 8 alone just makes me want to get Ys 8 representation in the game. But I know there's way more to the Ys series, and I know there's a 9th game that they haven't localized yet, and playing unlocalized games is just a nightmare. Well, not a nightmare, but it's difficult, especially when you're trying to play Persona 5 Scramble and you don't know what you're choosing in the dialogue options, and that game is so dialogue heavy. Anyway, tell me what you want to be in the game. You know, you can be realistic as you want with the whole, if you believe spirits deconfirm, which I do, and I also believe Sis trophies do. So that's why I kind of created 2 lists in a sense. You know, if I got at least like 2 of any of these characters, I would be pretty satisfied with Wave 2. But even if it's just Adol, I'd be pretty satisfied. Or actually, even if it's just Final Fantasy. Or Grovile. Do you know, Grovile could easily represent the Mystery Dungeon franchise. Getting some of those Mystery Dungeon music would be amazing. And a Mystery Dungeon 2 stage, like if you could... what would I would either have to choose Temporal Tower, or maybe just the Team Rescue Center. One of those 2 places. Obviously it would be from the 2nd game, because that's probably the best one. Or maybe one of the darkest, maybe like the Destroyed Future. Well, I suppose Temporal Tower isn't the Destroyed Future. But yeah, there's, you know, so many things that you could pull from spin-offs. I doubt we'll see Grovile, but yeah, like I said, post your wish lists and Tell me what you think about my wish list if you want. Do whatever you want. Yeah, I'm going to end the video there because my throat is killing me now after talking for 15 minutes straight. I did mention how last time I tried to use a different microphone. I feel like this one's the better out of the two. And I really can't end a video, can I? I'm just going to end it.